Plants are essential to us humans. It gives us oxygen. It is a source of breathing fresh air to continue living and regulate our respiratory system. Without oxygen, all living things would surely die. Plants also provide us with food, fiber, shelter, medicine, and fuel. Plants also provide other ecosystem services like cleaning outdoor and indoor air. Plants also do by absorbing gaseous pollutants through their leaves when uptaking carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. However, plants also collect dust, ash, pollen, and other particulate matter on their leaves and thus reduce their pollutants in the air they breathe. But how do plants evolve? Did they easily sprout on the Earth's surface a million years ago? Plants first appeared on land approximately 700 million years ago. Prior to that time, land was comprised predominantly of barren rock with sparse occurrence of algae, bacteria, and fungi. When plants adapted to live on land, they increased the percentage of oxygen and decreased the percentage of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere. This shift helped to facilitate new life and evolution.
The Paleozoic era has 6 periods, whereas the first, Cambrian period. During the Cambrian period, Earth's temperature would have been about 120 degrees due to extremely high levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The bulk of the plant life was made up of small, soft marine plants like green algae. Terrestrial plants evolved to cool the atmosphere and provide oxygen, allowing life to thrive on the soil. The Cambrian Revolution, a time of sustainability during which many ancestors of modern-day plants and animals evolved, occurred as a result of this. Ordovician period. The first land plants were non-vascular, meaning they didn't have any method of transport water. As a result, terrestrial plants survived mainly in wet environment. During this time span, the spores were used to replicate these early plants. Silurian period. During this period, the first vascular plants appeared. Adaptation of vascular systems allowed land plants to stand upright and draw water upward through their structures, despite the fact that most Silurian plants had no distinction of leaves, stems, or roots. This adaptation required cellulose, a complex organic polymer. The presence of cellulose in marine red algae was recently discovered, implying that even the earliest land plants had the flexibility for future adaptation to stand upright and conduct water.
Devonian period, 419 to 358 million years ago. The first measurable soils appeared during this time period. Plants developed sexual organs for reproduction, stems with vascular tissue, wood tissue for structure, and stomates for respiration. Forests of large trees dominated greenhouse ecosystems, and many species reproduced by bearing seeds. As carbon dioxide levels dropped and oxygen levels rose due to the abundance of terrestrial plants, the Earth's atmosphere began to cool. Carboniferous period, 358 to 298 million years ago. Divergent structures began to emerge in plants. Seed plants arose and inhabited environments that were inhospitable to microorganism plants. Gymnosperms are plants that grow seeds that are found on the leaves or scales of cones. Gymnosperms emerged during this period, including primitive conifer trees and ferns. Permian period, 299 to 251 million years ago. The climate dried out, allowing advanced conifers to emerge. Ginkgos and cycads emerged. In certain areas, there was widespread deforestation.
The Mesozoic era has 3 periods, so we have first year, the Triassic period. Seed-bearing plants dominated over all others. Gymnosperms such as cycads, ginkgogs, and the conifers were the most prevalent plants of this period. Next, we have here Jurassic period. The climate became wetter, leading to development of large jungles where conifers dominated the landscape. Flowering plants appeared during this period, but they played only a minimal role among other plants. Lastly, we have Cretaceous period. Cretaceous period angiosperms, plants in which male or female reproductive organs are housed in a flower, proliferated and became the dominant plants. Modern day trees appeared. Conifers continued to be important trees in colder regions, which ancestors of modern-day ferns evolved during the late Cretaceous period.
The Cenozoic era has two periods, the Tertiary period and the Quaternary period. The Tertiary period, from 66 to 1.8 million years ago, grasses formed during this period, allowing large savanna habitats to emerge. The abundance of grasses provided food for wandering mammals as well as a defense for small animals, including mammals. In colder climates, conifers dominated, while in tropical climates, angiosperms or flowering and fruiting plants dominated. The Quaternary period, from 1.8 million years ago until this day. Huge forests died off as the climate cooled, leaving open grasslands. Around 30 million years ago, this occurred and grass thrived as a result of their ability to adapt to harsh and arid conditions. Humans first emerged during the Cenozoic era's Quaternary age. Humans started to grow plants as food source after thousands of years as hunter-gatherers. The earliest agriculture consisted of cultivating grass-type plants, which began about 13,000 years ago. Wheat and barley were among the grains involved. Later on, ancient humans discovered how to grow wheat, squash, beans, and new grains like millet and rice.
We have Abegail and Alliah, a botanist that explains the evidences and how and when did the plants evolve, and how do botanists identify plant species.
What are the evidences that support the plant's evolution?
The developmental history of plant is recorded in fossils protected in swamp or marine silt. A few fossils protect the outside frame of plant parts. Others appear cellular highlights and still others comprise of microfossils, such as dust and spores. In uncommon occasion, fossils may indeed show the ultrastructural or chemical highlights of the plant they speak to. The fossil's record uncovers a design of quickening rates of advancement coupled with expanding differing qualities and complexity of natural communities that started with the intrusion of arrive and proceed with the dynamic colonizations of the land masses.
What are the dates when plants emerge in Earth?
Fossil proof of arrive that dates to the Ordovician period of the Paleozoic period. What is the technique used to identify how long have species have been scattered from a single ancestor?
In any case, investigate utilizing molecular clock technique, which employs hereditary qualities to appraise how long species have been isolated from a common precursor. Proposes that plants began to colonize urban situations around 500 million, a long time back, around the center of the Cambrian period.
Where plants first emerge?
Photosynthetic species remain in the sea for a toss of 500 million years. This is because the ground was bathed in little amounts of UV radiation due to the lack of a protective ozone layer. The ozone layer formed when atmospheric oxygen levels reach a certain amount, allowing living organisms to penetrate on the land. the seashore would have been enormously important in the colonization of land. In this zone, algae would have been exposed to fresh water, running off the land, and would have colonized the freshwater habitat before making the move to terrestrial existence. They would also be exposed to an alternating wet and desiccating environment. Adaptations to survive drying out would have had strong survival value, and it is important to note that seaweeds are poikilohydric and able to withstand periods of desiccation.
Plants are a fascinating gift of nature that became essential to us humans until today. In order to maintain its benefits to us, we humans should be responsible of taking care of it. Without plants, we cannot easily survive. Preserving and maintaining of plants will let us share its importance to the next generation of the world.